Good times, good times. It's great to be here with everybody. Um, I'm really excited about this. And yeah, let's get started.
Welcome all to Trip Talks Trucks.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tent Talk with Liz and Beth.
Yeah.
We gave away our guest for this week, Mr. Trip Gintz. Welcome, Mr. Trip Gintz. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's really great to be here.
I'm wondering how many people will get your reference, your opener reference.
It depends on how many of our people out in the field listen to NPR.
Yeah,
good times. Good times.
Well, we're dating ourselves with this joke, so I think we're going to alienate at least half the crew. I have had the pleasure to know Trip for like almost 4 years now, and we've become good friends. So I know a lot of your story, but the few hundred people that are listening, I don't think everybody knows your story. So
I just have so many questions about him. So please tell me more.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about how you got started at Mahaffey?
I actually, as I've told anybody that meets me and that cares to listen, that before I started working at Mahaffey, I was a professional Christian for 20 years. And what that means is I was the youth minister at various Episcopal churches in town. And my last stop on the great youth ministry tour was at St. John's Episcopal here in Memphis. And one of the prominent parishioner families was the Pretches, William and his wife, Leslie, and their two sons, Austin and Ethan. And Austin and Ethan participated in the youth group, and we went to Spain together. And Austin went with us on a pilgrimage to Spain. And in the course of that process of building up to that, I got to know William pretty well. And as we were wrapping up some event and moving towards this big pilgrimage thing that we were going on, I had this sense that I was kind of topping out in that role of youth minister. I was in my 40s, which somebody in their 40s who really loves working with teenagers oftentimes has a bracelet on their ankle as well. So it was probably
dark.
it was probably, I was feeling like it was time for me to investigate other avenues. And I approached William in the parking lot one day and said, you're doing something that I really respect, operating this pretty strong business. Could we talk sometime about my future and my options? And he's like, yeah, I'd really like that. Time passed, and we both sort of went in our own directions, doing our own things. I finished up that school year with the youth group and all that. And it was maybe 3 or 4 months later, the family and I were leaving the house on some great adventure like Home Depot or something like that. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I got to get my cell phone. Because I was still, I'm of a generation that walking around with a device in your pocket whereby you can be reached at all times still feels new. So I went to pick it up off the coffee table, and there was a message on it that said, hey, this is William Pretch. Can you reach out to me when you get a chance? Help wanted. I reached out to him, and there was a position that he was looking to fill in sales on the local side. I interviewed with the GM there at that time, got very, very close to, and basically had her offer me the job on a Friday, but said she needed to have the weekend to think about it and that she would contact me on Monday morning. Well, Monday morning came and went. Monday afternoon came, and I finally called her, and she said, oh, yeah, no. I instead decided you didn't have enough experience in the industry, and so I offered the position to somebody else. All the buildup to that, I was already doing stuff for the local side on a contract basis, and she said, "I'd like it if you could still complete the project you were working on." I was like, "Sure, don't have anything else really to do on those days that I've committed to you, so I'll come in and finish it out." And about 2 days later, I was in working on that project, which was not much fun. This person showed up at the door of the office space that I was sharing with 3 other salespeople, and then me, the contract guy. And the guy said, "Hey, I'd like to see if maybe you and I could go out and grab some lunch sometime. Could you do that?" And we set a date and a time. And he told me his name, and he left. And the other 3 people in the office turned to look at me and they were like, "Oh, do you know who that was?" And I was like, "No." They were like, "That's the vice president. That's George." And so George and I went out to this restaurant called Fino's and had lunch and talked. And he told me about this position that he had working on the Fort Polk contract with Mitch Holt. As conversations tend to happen when I'm involved, we talked all over the place about all kinds of things. So I left that feeling pretty good, and George saying that he talked to Mitch Holt, who was the guy that I'd be reporting to, and that I should just plan to come in and start the next week. And so then I heard later that George came in here and told Mitch, "Hey, I found a guy for you who can do the job that you need done. He's a little different." I was again faced with a decision about which direction I wanted my career to go. And I made the decision to go from sales into operations because that's what interested me. And while in operations, I somehow managed to acquire responsibility for DOT compliance. And then DOT compliance and the integration of new field employees when they come into the company. And then while fulfilling that role, I somehow last year also acquired fleet maintenance as well. And so it's a challenge to recognize, and I still haven't apparently, that just because you can doesn't mean you should. Here I am.
Well, I can tell you had successfully done something no one else ever has, and that is completely shut Liz and I up for a while. But that was all so very interesting to learn because I had no clue that you had been with us for, was that 12 years, 13 years now? Is there any one of those positions that you liked more than the others?
Each one has its own, let's call it nifty parts. I liked sales because I liked meeting new people, and I really, really enjoyed solving problems. Once I got beyond that need to close the deal, I just recognized that really what my role was to help somebody solve a problem, and that the person reaching out to me, the customer, was not my adversary. The problem that the customer was trying to solve was both of our adversaries, and we were trying to work together. Coming into the operations side of things, getting more internally focused on the employees that are here and just getting to know them better. I mean, I got to know quite a few of them back in the day when I was in sales because that was important to me. I didn't like the idea of just selling something and then forgetting about it. Many of the projects I sold, I went in and told my manager, I'm going to that install because I'm going to put my hands on this. Going into operations and working directly with people. And then I really think a lot of it stems from my time in youth ministry and my willingness to open up and connect to other humans as other humans. Just made being the person that helps to onboard and integrate newly hired field employees was just sort of a natural fit.
I would agree. I think once that came to us as an option for like the first person that was going to greet new team members, I couldn't think of a better person. And I
definitely.
You joke about the DOT thing, but who else could do, DOT compliance with, some
fun and games?
Yeah.
With such flair.
Yeah. He's a little different. He's a little different. This guy.
Yeah.
So now that you're in this new role and you spend a lot of time with new folks that are coming in, is there anything in particular that you notice that group really needs, especially when they're going into the field, their first job, maybe like feedback that you get? So if I'm a supervisor and I'm working with somebody who's only been here a month, what could I do to be the best coach for them?
That's a broad.
Yeah. Well, then there's a lot of answers.
Yeah, there are.
I don't need all of them, just some.
Yeah. Each person presents their own unique challenge, their own. I don't know. They're all different people. And they all need different things.
So maybe it's the people reading part, right?
That's part of it,
just to read them.
Yes, and I think that there is a level of presumption that comes with thinking one can read people. It is more about, and I talked about this a couple of years ago at the field supervisors meeting. It's really probably most important that the supervisors, when they're dealing with new people, are fully in touch with themselves and about what's going on with themselves. And, especially when they're bringing on a new member to their team, maybe they're having this new person come on because they've lost somebody, and the process of moving on from that person, the previous person, wasn't good and left behind some residual feelings. The recognition that this new person is not that old person. And even if they engage in behavior that reminds you of that old person and throws you into that same type of response, to just be aware of it within oneself, that this is not that. And let's try to just deal with this thing or this situation in the now of what's happening, and not process it through the filter of everything that's come before, or the filter of the fight I had with my old lady earlier in the day.
Yeah. Being self-aware as a people leader is like incredibly important. It's like at the top of the list.
Yeah.
That and delivery. Do you not find that it's a gentle reminder to think about how you sound as it's coming out? Sometimes the way
like
you
my
deliver.
Brooklyn accent? Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
more of the delivery of, some people come across as like, I just got out of prison yesterday and you're going to do this. And other people, it's like, if you get more flies with honey.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what.
I got so much feedback when
yes,
I
exactly.
was aggressive, and it was just because I was talking fast.
Yeah.
So, but yes, I agree.
The people that have come through here in the months have heard this, and maybe it sticks out to them, maybe it doesn't. For me, it just sounds like the same old phrase over and over and over. But I tell everybody on day one, within the first hour, number one, I use a different word, but I'm a mess with her.
Well, just imagine the other word.
Yeah. Or I'm a coyote. I a trickster. I just enjoy that process of it. I tell people all the time I exist primarily just to entertain myself. And in these, if I'm doing something that crosses your boundaries, please tell me. And as long as we're not calling each other names, everything's fair. It's the distinction that really needs to be drawn between talking about who somebody is or something that they did.
Yes.
The difference between, wow, Liz, you really messed up setting up this podcast it took you a long time before we got it going on. You really messed that up.
Yeah. Thanks.
Or, wow, Liz, you really are a screw up. Two different things. One thing you can fix. The other thing goes deep.
Be my whole identity. Yes. Yeah. Well, maybe we got the audio right on this one after like 5 of them.
Well, see, I have noticed a few percussive P's when I'm talking here, so I keep backing up.
Yeah, we could do a little.
Be all the way over here.
So is there any one thing that new hires come in when they leave you and they hit the field? What is that one thing that tells you this person's going to be here? This person's going to make it?
That's a really tough question to answer. At the end of the day, it really does just sort of come down to their attitude. How willing are they to engage in the process, even the parts of it that suck? Because there are elements of the onboarding process that are just drudgery. People are attracted to this job because of the way that it's packaged in the ads, the want ads or whatever, however they're finding it. It almost sounds glamorous, travel, go and see different places and work outside with your hands and all that. And then next thing you know, you return from your hands-on training with Robert Winstead, which is this darn near mountaintop experience for a lot of people, because Robert is such a great teacher and such a solid human and really models what that looks like for the people that he brings into his place. And then you come here and I'm saying, okay, sit down, open that laptop and stare at this screen for the next 3 days. That's your life.
While they repeat, rinse and repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reality is you have to do both, like as part of the job. You have to be out there and do that. And then there's always going to be training and continuous improvement that'll happen. So for sure. And it's just part of that initial phase. Just like when you go to high school, when you're in high school, that is the only time in your life that you have to be good at everything. After high school, you can specialize. Mm-hmm. Coming in here into this role, there is a short period of time where you have to apply yourself to things that don't feel like they're going to be applicable. That's the age. What does everybody talk about in high school? I took all that algebra and I've never once had to use it. There's just stuff you have to just store. You have to. I mean, you don't even have to store it. You just have to do it. You just have to do it. And there's other factors that drive the reasoning behind why. Beth asked, what is it that you see that new hires, when they come in, need the most? And it is a sense of something solid, because they're coming into this new environment and there's a great deal of uncertainty and unknowns. So if I can give them as much information as possible so they feel like they have somewhat of a grip on this thing when they first get here, and then to just continue to reinforce that as we go forward. So I'm always, if somebody's asking me, why am I having to do this? I'll answer them very honestly. You have to do it because that's information you need to have. So you got to know the rules so that you either don't break them or you at least are fully informed when you do. And there are people for whom it is important to them that certain boxes get checked. Speaking of compliance, because with somebody who's as connected as you are to the human experience, right? The human part of the employee experience, to be working with folks in a compliance capacity, right? Like, here's a bunch of things that you have to do. Have you had success like connecting the why? And have you had any sort of like aha moments with that?
Yes. And it took a while. The first thing I had to do was connect with the how.
Yeah. Right. There's the functionality that you had.
We're
in a better place now.
I had little to no idea how this stuff worked. At the same time, no idea why it was necessary. The short version of it is we have a large enforcement division within the United States federal government called the United States Department of Transportation. And that agency exists because there was a time when people operating large commercial vehicles did not have that much of a check on them, and they caused damage. And
public safety.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The damage is, they either caused it to property or to bodies. Mm-hmm. And so this agency was formed, and the agency has this body of guidelines, regulations they are called, because they are enforceable meaning force can be applied to bring about compliance. They're there to keep people safe, both the operators of the vehicles and the other people operating their own vehicles out in the world. So it took me a little bit to get grounded in that, just learning the code.
The acronyms. There's so many.
Well, there's that, the acronyms.
But I think you've been instrumental at rolling out the large amount of information to our team. And because we're so spread out, it's really hard to get that to cascade throughout. And so I'm really grateful for you being in that role.
Well, thank you. I still feel like I am not very good at it. I don't feel like, and I don't, again, maybe I am, because we don't have that much stuff that happens. And when it does, it brings about a great deal of rending of garments and wringing of hands all throughout the organization. And that was probably one of the bigger adjustments for me. I am by nature irreverent. And so, and so how do I say this without it? I'll just say it, and then I'm going to trust you and your team to edit it. In the past, actually, not just in the past, in the present, when I was working with the team at Fort Polk, one of their drivers got stopped and racked up a whole laundry list of violations, problems with their trailer, problems with their logbook, all this stuff. And the problems with the trailer were relatively minor, lights out, things like that. But there were also some major ones. There was a problem with placarding on the trailer. He was transporting empty fuel cells. Mm-hmm. And anyway, when that occurred, the supervisor down there at the time was like, I just don't understand why everybody's making such a big fuss on this. You get pulled over, you get your violations, you fix the violations, and you move on. What's the big deal? That's the shift in culture that had to occur just within me. And I think it had to happen organizationally as well. We don't wait to be caught to fix a problem.
We're proactive about it.
We're proactive about it.
Yeah.
That's the corporate speak, but it's, don't wait to be caught.
Mm-hmm.
And the rules apply regardless. I don't care if you're supposed to be at the job site by 7 a.m. If your electronic logging device says you can't drive, you can't drive. You need to get somebody else on your team to drive, or you need to call your customer and say, I'm going to be a couple hours late.
Yeah. So it involves some preparation, and we have to be conscientious. So it does involve a little bit more work. I would love to hear about fun stuff from you. I want to hear about outside of work. What's your favorite thing to do? There's so many.
There are.
I don't know. Do we want to talk about guitars or chickens, or there's a lot of animals in your house?
There are. So those are not necessarily some of my favorite things.
No, I know. That's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just what you and I talk about.
Yeah. Well, they're generally not my favorite things. I could do without them.
I love them though.
We have 3 dogs. On the third dog, I was not consulted.
Just showed up.
I was informed. Most people know that I am the funkiest bass player on this podcast.
Everybody definitely on this podcast.
And I played in local bands around Memphis for 40 years. 40 years.
Well, Trip, this has been so entertaining.
Well, I hope so. It was entertaining for me.
Yeah, I love hearing your stories. I love your origin story. I like your point of view when it comes to our team members and how to inspire them and support them.
It explains to me why you're so patient and able to do what you do.
It was my pleasure, and I really like the opportunity to use my late night FM DJ voice on this microphone here. So
next thing you know, we're going to have the Sunbelt Reynolds Radio with Trip.
You guys
take us home, Trip.
Stay safe out there. Be cool. Use that ELD. Call me if you need me.
Bye, guys. Next time.
Hi.
Bye, y'all.
Fabulous.